Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the art room, as always, with a high five, hug, or smile, even from far away. I wanted to talk to you today about Greek and Roman mosaics, and we get to create our own Greek or Roman mosaic using a few simple things that you should have lying around the house. Now, for if you don't have these items, you can substitute them for a lot of different things. What I have is 3 different colored beans in some cups. So I have white beans, I have green beans, split peas, and I have black beans. I also have a small piece of cardboard, some glue, and a Sharpie, just so that I can draw out my idea. So before we jump into what we're going to be doing today, try and collect your supplies, and then we're going to go ahead and learn a little bit about Greek and Roman mosaics. So last week we were talking about Paleolithic art. And do you remember where the cave of Lascaux was? It's in France, but that was before, it predates our written history. So we're going to be going forward a whole bunch of years in time into Greek times and also the Romans. So what we're going to be talking about today is some of the beautiful artwork that both Greeks and Romans created with cut stone. You're going to be able to hopefully recognize a little bit of the history of Greek and Romans and how much they've impacted art today. You'll be able to recognize some of the mosaic techniques that are used in art from back then as well as current times. And then you'll be able to create your own mosaic using either beans or paper or whatever else you have lying around the house that would create a cool pattern. So what is a mosaic? Well, a mosaic is a picture or pattern produced by arranging together small colored pieces of hard material, such as stone, tile, or glass. So during that time, they actually created cement, which cement's been around for a really, really long time. And the Romans actually invented cement. And they would stick the little pieces of stone or tile or glass into walls or floors to create beautiful images. Think about how they had to cut each stone to be perfectly shaped, and then they had to organize and arrange all of that. These were very large scale pieces. So in their mosaics, they often showed geometric patterns. Do you remember what geometric means? Okay, geometric usually has angles and straight lines. It's also something that's usually symmetrical. So as you can see at the top there is waves, and that's a repeated form, right? So it's repeated, it's a repeated pattern. And then there's also lines. That's a geometric line. They would sometimes show people and the daily life. They would also show myths and stories about gods and goddesses. Here's some example of some of the patterns. Notice how detailed they were. Think about how long it would take someone to create a pattern like this on the floor. Now, you're thinking, Birdie, I don't have enough time for that. But you know what? It's really important for you to sit and focus and relax sometimes. And doing something like a repeated pattern like this can actually be very relaxing. The other thing is that these artists were very diligent, and diligent is our word for today. Diligent is working on something working really hard, okay? So think about these artists and how they worked really hard to create their artwork, okay? They put in a lot of effort and got really cool pieces because of the effort that they put into it. So here's some images of daily life. See, they even liked their pets. They also would create pictures of gods and goddesses. I always like this one. This is Dionysus. He's the god of partying, so he's kind of got a silly face, huh? How many of you know a lot about the Greek gods and goddesses from something like Percy Jackson? So, once you decide on what you're going to be, once you've kind of started to get some ideas here, I want you to think about what material you're going to want to use. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make something with beans. But if you don't have beans, you could, again, use anything that you've collected. Another thing you can do is cut up an old magazine. You can cut up pieces of paper. It's especially fun if you do pieces of paper on a black paper. So, what are you going to make? Well, think about the things that the Greeks and the Romans made in their mosaics about. They made them about animals, their daily life, and sometimes they just made patterns. What do you think you're going to make? First, you're going to have to draw a couple of ideas on a scrap of paper. You can also look at a reference picture for ideas. Remember, if you're doing beans or really anything, you're going to be limited in the colors that you choose. Okay, so I personally only have 3 beans here, 3 different color of beans, so I'm only going to be able to do something with 3 colors. Look around and see what colors you have available. All right, so let's go ahead and start to draw some ideas out. Something that I really like that they have, and I will be posting some pictures for you to look at, but they have a picture of an owl, and I love owls. Okay, I love owls. They're one of my favorite animals. They're just really cool. I think I'll draw with this. Let's see. So I'm going to look at a reference picture to get a good idea, and I'm going to practice drawing in my sketchbook. Because remember, we practice first. So this owl, we have to think about the contrast. Okay, so this owl in this picture has a wing that kind of swirls up, so there's like a different color there, and then it's all black in here. And then it has some lines for some tails, the tail lines. Has some feet. And when you're thinking about it, you're probably going to have to make it thicker because, you know, you can't really see all that much detail. All right, I feel like I made that owl have a bit too big of a head. Now, I might also want to think about the patterns. So in here, I'll probably, when I draw it out on the other one, I'm not going to have quite as big of a head. So I'm probably going to have it all be black, since I have black, white, and green. I think I want to have green eyes. Okay, I'm going to have a black body. And then it's going to have white, and it's going to have white on the outside here too. And then it's going to have white details and then black feet. And then the background's going to be green because I want that contrast. And then I think I'm going to do some cool patterns. I really like the way that the patterns on the, there was like those wave patterns that we saw. So maybe I'll do something kind of like a wave, but I also think about what I have, and it might be hard to do a wave, but I might try and do something like that, something a little simple. All right, so now that I have my plan, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and draw this out. And what I have here is a piece of cardboard. Okay, and I want to make sure that things fit. So I'm going to kind of get some of my tools out here. All right,